Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv.
We now know, and thanks again to Ben Cotton, who did some of the forensics out there in Arizona, as well as here in Georgia. We know that these systems not only are remotely accessible, but they have been remotely accessed during the election. We know that that happened here in Georgia and in Michigan, and they had all kinds of strange fingerprints in those in Arizona, leading back to double boot system with non-election data on it, and from out-of-state areas, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So these are not secure enough to conduct an election on another election on. That's the bottom line. That was a long way around to get to the point. Is his executive order. We need somebody to lead this movement to get rid of the voting systems, and of course he's the right guy, because he knows he was cheated out of the 2020 election.
Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today. Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Today, hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Amber May Show. I'm excited about today. I am welcoming Garland Facorito from Voter GA. He's joining me today. We're going to be talking about election integrity issues. You know, if you're not familiar with Voter GA and Garland Facorito, he's been in the election integrity space for quite some time. And he's a volunteer. The Voter GA is volunteer based. And he's been exposing what's been happening in Fulton County and in other elections. Garland Facorito is a career information technology professional of over 40 years of experience. He devoted much of his career to computer programming, business systems analysis, data administration, internet systems design, and architecture, as well as system development methodology. So he knows a lot about the issues when it comes to technology, and he talks about that, especially when it comes to election integrity issues. And that's why I wanted him to come and talk about the new executive order that Donald Trump has that talks about securing the American elections. And then also with that, we're going to talk about China. China is going to keep coming up in this episode, because I found a video that I want to play for him from John Solomon that talks about what Kash Patel found about possible election interference with the Chinese nationals. Now, I also found some articles that I want to share with you today regarding that Trump was asked about Chinese nationals entering our country through student visas. And he said in one of the press conferences for his cabinet meeting that just happened not that long ago, that he is expecting to have welcome 600,000 Chinese students to our country, because he does not want to see the universities go belly up. Okay, so that's going to come up today. We're also going to talk about the rockets that launch. We're going to talk about NASA and Space Force on this episode. So I hope you'll like, share, subscribe. There's some elections that I'm covering on today's episode, since it's kind of like a national security issue kind of show involving elections, involving China, and involving some other special elections across the country. Do we see more gerrymandering going on? Well, we'll talk about that on today's episode. So please like, share, subscribe. If you're new to the program, if you've been a long-time viewer but never been a chatter, join our friend circle over on Rumble and join the chat over there. So I'd love to welcome you to our program. Love to have you. And some shows you need to check out. Tomorrow, Dr. Michael Schwartz is going to be on my show. I'll be on at 2 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, Thursday, I'm on 2 p.m. Eastern. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm at 6 p.m. Eastern. So please go give him a like and a follow. We're going to rate into him later on in the episode. And Dan Nunn, I love it. Dan Nunn gets to rate into me Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I get to rate into him Tuesday, Thursday. It's awesome. We start out Tuesday, Thursday, God Signpost. We go to Handy News. And then you guys can come right into my show Tuesday and Thursday right after Handy News. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have the Nun Report, the Anime Show, and then we go into the Michael Schwartz Show. It's great. So go give all of those programs a like and a follow. Pages with Grit, Lady Hamilton Art, Common Censored. Go give all of them a like and a follow. Live with Chris's World. And over on Podbean, go check out the Old Man's podcast. I just love the Old Man. He's great. Good friend of mine. The Pulse in Alaska, a good friend of mine. Story and Strength. Go check all these shows out on podbean.com. Hey, if you haven't made the switch today, why not? Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative cell phone company out there. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. With the 100% U.S. customer service base, it makes switching easy. And the best part is, if you use my name, you get a free month of service. So go to patriotmobile.com/Amber or 972-PATRIOT and let them know I sent you and get a free month of service. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/Amber or 972-PATRIOT and let them know Amber sent you. Well, I have a lot to get to on today's episode, so let's get started.
On the Amber May Show, the truth runs deep, fighting for the lost, for the souls who weep, breaking the silence, making a stand, a voice for the people across this land. Children stolen, lives betrayed, she won't back down, she's lighting the way, a beautiful warrior with faith so bright, holding the line in this endless fight. On the Amber May Show, the truth runs deep, fighting for the lost, for the souls who weep, breaking the silence, making a stand, a voice for the people across this land.
Garland, it is such a pleasure to finally interview you. I have been watching you for some time with Voter GA and all the work you've been doing out in Georgia for election integrity. Welcome to the program.
It's great to be with you, Amber.
I was looking forward to this interview. I saw it and I'm like, yes, I have to have him on my show. You know, because Donald Trump just posted something on True Social recently, and he made an announcement that he's going to be leading the movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and electronic ballot machines. He said elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots / voting, and everyone, in particular the Democrats, know this. Trump wrote on True Social, and the Republican Party, will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. So what are your thoughts about Donald Trump coming out and talking about mail-in ballots and the voting fraud that's been going on?
Well, we're really excited about it. We've known about it for some time, and we've been working on proposed executive order language ever since right after Inauguration Week. So very excited about, in March, he created the Executive Order 14248, and that kind of laid the foundation for what he's going to do now. And I think what people don't realize is we're in a national election security crisis. You know this because you're in Maricopa County, and I know this because I'm in Fulton County in Georgia. But a lot of folks don't really understand how serious it is. In this last order in March, he has two assessments in there. One is for a Doge assessment of the voter rolls, which are going to show that there's 50 or 20% invalid registrations on the rolls, a major, huge problem. And then the other issue is he's got an assessment for the security of the voting systems. And of course, out in Maricopa, y'all have the same system out there, Dominion Democracy Suite systems that we have statewide here in Georgia. So we believe that these assessments are going to show how bad elections really are in America, and that will justify the removal of mail-in ballots, which, y'all were counting those for 3 weeks after the election, at least out in Maricopa, even though you had voting machines like we do. We had a similar thing. We were counting ballots for days after the election. And we don't even know, literally to this day, where they came from. It's unreal. But so I think that's a great thing. You've got to try to get rid of mail-in balloting. Still have some absentees, but not mail-ins. And then, of course, the other real issue is the voting system and the security of the system. And we found out, the folks out in your audience may not know, but we had a case here called DeKalb GOP v. Ravensburger, and we had expert witness testimony from 2 gentlemen, one Ben Cotton and the other Clay Parikh. Some of your listeners might know who they are. But they proved basically in court and their testimony was unrefuted by the state of Georgia. But they showed that the Dominion system was never legitimately certified in the first place because it stored the encryption keys in clear plain text and instead of an encryption module. And that's a violation of the original 2005 voting system guidelines under which it was allegedly certified back in 2019, at least here in Georgia. So it's not certifiable. We now know, and thanks again to Ben Cotton, who did some of the forensics out there in Arizona, as well as here in Georgia. We know that these systems not only are remotely accessible, but they have been remotely accessed during the election. We know that that happened here in Georgia and in Michigan. And they had all kinds of strange fingerprints in those in Arizona, leading back to double boot system with non-election data on it, and from out-of-state areas, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So these are not secure enough to conduct another election on. That's the bottom line. That was a long way around to get to the point is, his executive order. We need somebody to lead this movement to get rid of the voting systems. And of course, he's the right guy because he knows he was cheated out of the 2020 election.
We all were. We all were cheated out of the 2020 election. And I would say even Arizona got cheated out again in 22. I would also suggest that this has been a long time happening, that the fraud was just so prolific in 2020 that there was no way that they were able to hide it because they cheated so badly. Like they had to really come against Donald Trump and add so many more fake ballots than they normally would have to sway the election, that it made it super obvious and it opened the eyes of a lot of people. I would suspect that they have been gerrymandering our elections for some time to get their people in. And I realized in 2020, I never really thought about it in this context before, that elections are a matter of national security.
Yes.
And you just look at what happened under an overthrow of Donald Trump and install Biden. We had the open borders. Even though Joe Biden spent most of his time on the beach eating ice cream, we all know he wasn't running things. But the idea that we put him as a president there in Washington, and we realized we were invaded for all these years. We were involved in shell trafficking. We were involved in money laundering through Ukraine and other avenues. We're finding out that all of our tax money through U.S. aid and other ways, like going to nonprofits, we're creating all these wealthy people who were stealing money from our taxpayers. And if you go down to the nitty-gritty of it, it starts at who is in these seats of elected officials. And elections are how people get there. If they want their people in there, they have to manipulate the election system. We know in Arizona that our Secretary of State's office was hacked, and they didn't even do anything about it for a very long time. And now lawsuits are coming out against just our Secretary of State's getting hacked and that information. It's really awful. And they know that if they can get their people in by gerrymandering elections, then they can get all their agenda across. So this is super important. This topic is probably one of the most important topics.
Absolutely, because it controls the political agenda and dialogue in America. And that's why we've got to do something. We've got to do it before 2026, even before the 2026 primaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you guys doing at Voter GA to try and further this agenda? I know the Maricopa County Republicans are all in favor of the one-day voting, hand count, ballots only. When Mark Fincham, who's a state senator, he was running for Secretary of State in 22. I was so in favor of those ballots that had watermarks on it because it would make it harder to fabricate. I'm in favor of that. I don't know why all of our elections don't have a whole bunch of watermarks like that, like a dollar bill does. So what, like, are you in favor of stuff like that? And what is Voter GA doing to go towards a more one-day paper ballot, get rid of mail-in ballot type thing?
Well, we got the watermark bill passed here in Georgia. We got some major election reform in last year, in 2024. And we got a lot in 2021 after that happened. So between those 2 years and in between, last year we got a couple things, but not really as much. But if you put all that together, we think that we are basically are leading the nation in terms of election integrity procedures that have been implemented since 2020. But even all that said, it's still not enough. As you said, we still have to get to one. We've got to get rid of. We believe we have to do hand-marked paper ballots with publicly recorded hand counts. That's the only way. Given that our current systems, yours and ours, are not only uncertifiable, but they're not secure, and we know that they've been remotely accessed, even though the election officials and the vendors tell us elsewise. Yeah. So we've got to get rid of the machines. We've got to have clean, pristine voter rolls. That's got to happen. And of course, as you said, we've got to get to one-day voting. We are pretty good here in Georgia. We don't accept, or at least we didn't used to accept ballots after the election. We put in some more procedures. Our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, made some exceptions here and took in hundreds of thousands of ballots after the election that we still don't know where they came from. He went on TV and said that Trump won, basically the morning after the election, and he knew exactly how many ballots he had left to count, and it wouldn't have changed the outcome. And then 3 days later, he's accepted a couple 100,000 more ballots than he said actually even existed. So all that stuff's got to stop, and that's the evidence that supports what you're saying, Amber. That we've got to ensure that all ballots are accepted and counted on election day.
Okay, I'm going to get to that thought in just a second, but right now I'm going to take a quick break. Hey friends, if you're looking for a doctor you can trust, look no further than Dr. Stella, and you can find her at drstellamd.com. Let me show you one of the areas that I love about Dr. Stella. I enjoy supporting the immune system, especially when it comes to cold and flu season. And I love the Covey Light, the Covey Sleep, especially if you're having trouble sleep at night. Get that Covey Sleep. It'll help you so much. So not only are you supporting the immune system, but it also helps you get a good night's sleep. The Covey Spray is super easy. Covey Vites. These are my favorite, the Covey Vites. She has placed vitamin C, D, zinc, and quercetin. And we all know that zinc helps support the body's immune system, but zinc needs a delivery system. So that quercetin is the delivery system to drive that zinc in to help your body heal faster and feel better. Also has Covey vitamins for kids as well. Hey, and if you're looking to get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, or you just feel under the weather and need a doctor you can trust, set up a telemed appointment with her. And the best part is when you use my name Amber or Amber May at checkout, whether you need your Covey Vites or a telemed appointment, you will save money at checkout. So don't forget to use promo code Amber or Amber May at checkout to save some money. So go visit drstellamd.com and then use promo code Amber or Amber May at checkout to save some money.
Jeremiah.
Hi, I'm Dr. Artis, and you're watching me live on the Amber May Show. Stay tuned.
One of my other good friends, Dr. Artis, he has this healing conference coming up. Dr. Artis, Dr. Group, Ely, and Schmidt, they come together for something greater than themselves, each bringing something unique and powerful to the stage, a healing message, not just of hope for humanity's future, but a definitive pathway that everyone is capable of walking in order to transform disease and darkness into bright, shiny, healthy light. They will teach you how to take control of your own health by sharing natural, simple healing solutions for the whole family. So the conference is coming up October 23rd through the 25th. It's in Dallas, Texas, October 23rd through the 25th. If you go to healingfortheages.com and use promo code Amber, you're going to save money at checkout. You are listening to the Amber May Show, and now we return to the show already in progress. Yeah, what I found fascinating is Donald Trump just recently had a meeting with his cabinet secretary, and Tulsi Gabbard said that they found burn bags tied to the 2020 election. Bags that were supposed to be burned and they didn't get burned. And when Trump asked when it's coming out, Tulsi said, once we have all that information collected, and adding that they're finding documents tucked away in back of safes in random offices in other areas. I mean, that's really disturbing to find. But I'm glad that some of this evidence was preserved, because remember when they were telling us, oh, there's no evidence. Yeah, because you don't want to look. And every time like one of us would have some kind of court hearing, it felt like we were always being stopped no matter where we went to try to uncover this election fraud, because we all know our elections are not free and fair. And we've been fighting like hell to try and get free and fair elections. And thank God that we were able to overcome this steal this time, because we have such a great team. On one hand, it was great that we kind of got the election stolen from us in 2020, because if we would have had the same cabinet members of 2016, hardly any of our America First agenda would have happened. I think he has the 18. So in a way, it was a blessing. In a way, like we uncovered, there was a lot of fraud that got exposed in the 2020 election. So there are some good to come out of it. But yeah, Garland, how do you think we can all, our state, your state, other states that are fighting for this, how do you think that we kind of come together and start? You think it's under this executive order that we can start finally moving ahead, where some of the stopping blocks are kind of getting pushed away? Like, how do you foresee this happening? Because I know you get frustrated and I get frustrated that every time like we try to do something, it feels like we're always blocked, with a few little exceptions in the way, you talked about in that court hearing in Georgia, where they did prove that there was flipping of the votes and stuff like that, manipulations in the machines. Like, how do you perceive this? Because I know you did a press conference recently about this executive order. I'd love for you to share some of that information that you shared in that press conference with my audience.
Sure. Well, we're really excited, but the executive order just laid the foundation. The primary focus was enforcing the federal law for proof of citizenship, foreign interference in elections, and not accepting ballots after election day. Those were the three major items in the foundation. But as we talked about earlier, it set the stage for future executive orders, both for the voter rolls and for the security of the systems. And of course, in Section 4, the president rescinded all the certifications of existing voting systems and ordered the EAC to upgrade their standards to ensure that there are no QR coded accumulation, which is an unverifiable system. So, I mean, the question that I had was, why has the EAC allowed that to be the standard for 20 years? It shouldn't have taken Donald Trump's executive order for the EAC to recognize that the American people need to have verifiable voting. We've been talking about it for 20 years. It's been a major issue, and the EAC has sat on their hands and they've done absolutely nothing in that regard. So that's that's all really good. But I think what's going to happen is we'll have 2 more executive orders, one for the voter rolls, one for the system security. I think that's how Trump's going to lead this movement. He is committed to it. Been very exciting to see that, he's made so many accomplishments already in terms of identifying fraud. He has gotten peace in the Middle East. That's amazing. Now he's got peace with Ukraine and Russia, it looks like. So now he can turn, and then, by the way, and of course, they've come out with the 2016. They show how that was stolen. You mentioned Tulsi Gabbard, and she's come out with that recently, and the burn bags that where they found all the evidence in that. And now, finally, he can turn his attention to 2020. And I think once he can focus on the 2020 election, that is going to be terrific for us, because you can't secure 2026 if you don't know what happened in 2020 and fix it. And that is what I think his intent will be. So we want to jump on board for that as best we can. We've even got this new apparel I'm wearing today, Make Elections Great Again, in support of Trump's executive order. So we launched that, and we are basically just, that's available for donations, just to say thank you for all the folks who have been supporting our lawsuits down here. We still have 5 active ones going on, and we're not going to stop until we see those Fulton County ballots in 2020.
That's good. You talked about foreign nationals interfering in the election. John Solomon was on Boiling Point, and he talks about the Chinese government. So I thought I could play the clip for you, and we can talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
Story that Kash Patel turned over to the Congress, documents showing that the FBI suspected that China was mailing tens of thousands of fake driver's licenses to Chinese citizens here so that they could create fake identities and then pass mail-in ballots for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. Massive interference. What happened to that memo, according to Kash Patel? Kash Patel told me for some reason it was recalled and it wasn't investigated further. Someone sent it out and the FBI called it back, and then no one ever investigated, even though there was corroborating evidence. What was the corroborating evidence? Customs and Border Protection intercepted 20,000 of those fake IDs.
Where?
In Chicago, going to Midwest states. Oh, the battleground states, of course. Yeah. They had the corroboration even. They pull it back. I just got text of these 2 memos for the first time. I can tell you the back one first, and I'll go back to the juicy part in the beginning. When they recalled the memo, they asked all their sister agencies in the intelligence community to destroy the memo that had been sent out. That's very odd. You don't normally destroy raw intelligence reports. Somebody didn't want this to be discovered. Now, let me tell you what the memo actually says. It lays it out exactly as Kash Patel told us last night. In late August 2020, the Chinese government had produced a large amount of fraudulent United States driver's licenses that were secretly exported to the United States. The fraudulent driver's licenses would allow tens of thousands of Chinese students and immigrants sympathetic to the Chinese Communist Party to vote for U.S. presidential candidate, U.S. person Joe Biden, despite not being eligible to vote in the United States. China had collected private U.S. user data from millions of TikTok accounts to include name, ID, address, to facilitate this capability. Very specific. It comes from a source who's been working for the FBI just under a year. During that period, he was working with the FBI. He was chronically corroborated, so he was deemed to be pretty reliable. But there are things in this memo that clearly are raw. It says, first off, we haven't corroborated everything here. It's out to just get lead generation. 2, we don't see address fields in TikTok, so maybe that part of the information could be wrong. But it was clearly meant to be a lead gen for investigators to go out and find out, was there about to be a massive...
We know who pulled back the FBI memo?
Yeah, we do not. That's the missing part. We do not know who called it. We know what's recalled.
Can you imagine? I mean, they were saying that Russia colluded with Donald Trump to overthrow Hillary Clinton. And really, China is very much involved in overthrowing the 2020 election, or allegedly trying to help overthrow. I mean, can you, I guess we can imagine, because it did happen, right? But I don't think any of us in our wildest imaginations thought foreign countries would try and interfere in our elections. At least I never did.
Right. And of course, now we know Hillary Clinton was colluding with the Steele dossier and Mark Elias to overthrow the 2016 election.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.
At least the last was running her campaign then, so it appears that he's going to be involved in that. So, it's hard to imagine, but as more and more of this comes to play, these sources go back to China. We've got still to come, we believe, is this whole Dominion, Smartmatic, Serbian programmers, Venezuelan government, a lot of connections there that appear to go back to China as well. So